Hello, 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 I am Rangru.
And I'm Graham.
Here today I have another 1v1 from Wargame Bootcamp Discord Elite Tournament Bronze Match Placer. This is game 2, and well, who is duking out? Well, we know who's duking out, but what are they playing, Graham?
So, on the left-hand side, in the blue, we have Krot playing as Blue 4 Mechanized. And then on the right, in the red, Balanced, aka I Hate Wargame, me too, buddy, is playing Blue 4 Mechanized.
So we got the mech on mech blue action, pretty much a mirror matchup, but both sides have
Yes.
very different build-ups for their deck, which is I swear like with like for people who do play like NATO general in general or mechanized, like it really tells a lot about your character. It's like star sign or astrology or some other crap like that.
And you got really deep with it right there off the
Yeah.
start. Just like we're figuring all about your internal workings as a person based on you playing, NATO Mechanized. That's crazy.
Whether you take the K1 or laboratory one.
So what's it say about me if I like playing Soviet Armored 1980?
It's pretty base.
Pretty base. Good to know. Only Chads play that. But yeah, it is interesting, Rang, that they both have. It is a mirror matchup essentially, but they built their decks very differently, like you said. And that's gonna. I'm really curious to see how that plays out here because just looking at the two decks, when I look at balances, that's something I would want to build, right? I mean, beyond just the fact that he has the Kernas and the AMX 10RC, I looked at it, I was like, yeah, those are two units I would bring. And then you kind of looked around at Krotz. His is a little more, I don't necessarily unconventional, but it is a little different.
Yeah, it's got the Raven, the Eagle.
Right.
It'd be curious to see how it does actually play out, especially against like also other mechanized forces. There's gonna be, as you might imagine, an infantry slog.
Yeah, it's gonna be really infantry focused, though both do have some pretty neat or capable support vehicles. Oh, there's actually a Gazelle cannon in the main base of Balanced.
Oh my
Krot's got a
god!
Gazelle cannon. He's gone deep in there. The CV's been picked up in the Akazarit. Thank you. A Flak Panzer Gepard pushing up here, taking it down. The other one coming in. We'll see if Krot. I mean, honestly, you could get the FOB snipe too. Well, he doesn't really have anything to punish that. I don't think too much.
Yeah,
There it goes.
You can get one Bacan, which I believe is the elite one. So if he can spot the FOB and blow it
Yep,
up,
doing it right now.
works. There we go.
Yeah, he literally, you're inside his head. Living in his walls, maybe. Yeah, when we see the beacon, they're going to open up, and the FOB snipe could be massive. In mechanized games, Rang, that's really not as important, but it's still losing your supplies off the get-go for no gain whatsoever. It doesn't contribute anything to you. Is painful.
Yeah, especially also balanced because he also has that only one supply truck card, so
Right.
that FOB, I mean, it's pretty much inevitable it's going to go down with the beacon being dropped and the artillery dropping on the FOB. Yeah, I mean, it's not super much into the world, you just have expendable crap.
Yeah, it's just annoying. So, I mean, besides that crazy, little shing in there as we were, messing around, the Gazelle Cannon was trying to go for a game-winning move there off the start. We do see some infantry duking it out there in Foxtrot, but other than that, it's very calm, very normal, it's just slight probing here between these two players.
Yeah, it's been really quite boring on the front line. Like, we're doing a little bit of action happening in Gulf right now. As the Roviats and Panzer Grenadiers go at it, the K1's going to be brought in for some heavy CQC-5 squad. And they should work quite well, because those Roviats do have rather crappy, well, rocket launchers.
Yeah, the Roviat 90s really aren't that great at dealing with heavy armor. And the K1, like we talked about it before, like the K1 I think is the epitome of, like you could probably just bring K1s and be fine in most games you play in. It's a very solid all-around tank. And against, just front tanking walls right here, as the Panzer Grenadier is going to sit back, take a little damage. Like, just these Israelis just getting wiped out right here.
Yeah, again, absolutely flat, and that's going to allow Krot to maintain that positioning. But Balance has a pretty good control over Gulf. He's managed to extend a little bit around the northern part of it, setting up his infantry. And Krot, apart from that forest, and apart from the town, he really does not have that much control.
Yeah, I mean, a big thing with this map, Rang, is that it can be really slow pace, because it's all one-pointers. And so I think Krot's just kind of setting up. He's probing right there, making a little bit of a push. He's going to repair that 1K1 there. But I think he's really in no rush to do anything. I'll say based on the positions there, Balance has set himself up very well here in Foxtrot, and I would look to see if he kind of like maybe solidify that control a little bit.
Yeah, especially from Foxtrot, because you can end up either hooking around into go for, as we're seeing here, the SDRF just pushing on through, getting into the rear, but the K1's falling back has actually been quite beneficial.
Yeah, he took a little bit of damage right there, side shot from the SCRV, or, the Bofors, but he's going to be good to go. And we'll see. He didn't spot the AA either. The Martyr 1's going to move up, and they actually could... This could kind of, like, actually maybe backfire for Balance, because now Krot knows there's probably nothing up there. There's just the two almost dead Fusiliers just chilling. Oh, at the same time, the Panzer Grenadiers pushed up there, took a little bit of damage, nothing too crazy, engaging the Roviat, but there's Merkava 2As right there, so they're going to want to back up. That's some heavy-duty anti-infantry firepower in that force.
Yeah, and especially, the K1's not being there anymore. This is pretty much the perfect opportunity for Balance to come in here and just clear up Gulf. And, well, he'd be in a really good position if he gets Gulf, because that's under his control, +1. Foxtrot he can at least contest it. And Bravo, of course, you never want to go for Bravo. It really just screws you over. But it's very easy, as you see time and time again, just to set up a CV in the forest and go Viet Minh on their ass.
Yeah, it's always an option available to the red side, because you don't, like we talk about, Rain, you don't need to assault Bravo. You just need to hold on to your forest sector there and just be really annoying. And actually, we see the drop with Zelda's there, so some Roviats, I believe, going to be going over there for Balanced. And that right there could just be a big pain in Krot's ass. It's just, though, this Beacon, what is he going for?
Oh yeah, he finished the FOB and now he's trying to get CV sniper.
Oh, CV sniper, yeah.
Which, yeah, against the Akazuri, I mean, this is also a nice thing about NATO General. Akazuri, one of the best APC
per price,
TVs,
sure.
just because it's literally just a tank.
Yeah, it's basically a mini tank. It's, for 130 points, it doesn't get much better than that. Oh, Commando 90 is getting caught there in the little force and Foxtrot by the Foxtrotjäger. They should go down. And see, Krot does have a bunch of infantry there on the move. I'm not quite sure where that's going. He's unloading some in the crossroads there. It's always smart just to have a lockdown in case of any moves there by Balance. But both sides playing, very cautious, Ring.
Yeah, it seems like Krot definitely on the back foot, however, just Balance is getting those better trades, which is good for him. Really, for Krot, I mean, his best bet is maybe just try to hook around to south of Foxtrot and gain some control, because he needs to also, of course, try to keep control over his little sector of Gulf, because that's not easy, but it's manageable to manage that little village sector and just try to get CV presence, because it sucks on this lose even just one of those +1 sectors completely.
Yeah, and I'm surprised we haven't seen him be a little bit, a little more aggressive. He has some pretty good firepower. He has the Beacon out right now. Instead of maybe going for CV snipes, use it to construct picking off these infantry blocks. I mean, he actually does. The Beacon just annihilated that Foxtrotjäger squad. They're all dead right there. Pull one out for the Norwegian boys. So the Beacon doing some work already. We see more infantry from Krot going into Golf. He called out another K1 as well. And honestly, I think he could make a strong push on Golf. It really isn't that strong of a position there for him. And the K1 should be able to deal with the Merkava 2s, I think, pretty well. Though Fusilier 90s are moving into the forest there, Rang, for Balance.
Yeah, so we're seeing quite a bit of infantry being dropped in all around. But you're right, it really is not that much scary here in Gove. But this is also the beauty of holding Gove for Balance side, is you have so much forest. You can completely bluff your opponent into thinking you have a much larger force than you do. Just 1 or 2 ATGMs like a Chumat. There's so many angles of potentially getting blown up by some nasty missile. You just never really want to mesh with it. You want to, or really forced to, what we're seeing here of Krot, move in the Fusilier spam round to Southern Hook and try to clear out the forest through infantry, indirectly before, trying to make the big push.
We actually the Fusiliers going in for both sides. The Krot's Fusiliers have all their weapons turned off, but they're Law 80s. He wants them purely for the heavy-duty firepower because he knows the Merkavas are in the area as well. Really smart moves there. But the Panzer Grenadiers do the heavy dealing damage. The mortar shots coming in for Balance. And I mean, I think if you're Krot, you need the Beacon to target and lay down some suppressive fire right there. Another pick there by the Fusilier 90.
Yeah, need some bloody danger close fire support, to try and clear us up, because
it's Broken Arrow.
I need a demo for that.
Yeah, I'm gonna need the demo real quick on that.
Oh look, here's in Bravo, we got like a bunch of Zeldas being brought up over here as well. Probably
Random
both,
crit.
90s. I know you gotta love Wargame. It's really just a skill issue from balance with
It
getting
is.
critical.
Balance
Just
didn't make the proper sacrifice to the Yujin gods.
Mhm.
So maybe they heard him trash talking the game at some point, or they caught him playing Warno, and so they gave him some extra random crits.
Yeah, I think the username enough is like at least
It
an
could be
extra
the
20%
user.
bonus for random
Yeah.
critical hits.
Easily. And when Krot, he needs to exploit that if he knows what's good for him. K1 actually pushing up there in Foxtrot along with the Swedish Panzer Grenadier. That's what I call them, the Swedish Panzer Grenadiers. Pushing up there along with the SCRF as well, so cleaning that area up. And honestly, Foxtrot's wide open. I'd look to see if Krot just sends these FVs forward just to kind of like test where the limit is here. If he can get the Chumat to fire, if he maybe spot something important, and actually, yeah, balance bring over his Tevza B to try and stop, or at least harass just a little bit of a push.
Yeah, it's just a really good push here from Krot. I mean, he needs to just... I mean, with Mechanize, of course, it's always very tempting, especially against other mech, to just do the grind, especially in Gofir. But if you can try to be a little bit more mobile in your opponent, to actually try to hit the areas which are weaker in, we're seeing it here for Krot. It was working out well, but lack of anti-air is kind of screwing him over a bit as the Cobra just completely blows up his troops. He could at least try to regain some map control in the center, and that gives you pretty good movement to either try to put pressure into Charlie or maybe hook around north into Gof.
Yeah, and I think Foxtrot is wide open for him right now. I mean, there is the Tevza, though it has used all of its Hydro rockets. There is the Chumat there, kind of towards the back end of Foxtrot. But there's a decent little, bunch of firepower here for Krot. He does have the CV coming up, so he will decap it. But this would be a good point, I think, for him to maybe probe a little more, because there really isn't anything in front of him, and obviously we have the God Vision ring. But I think that's a little bit better than kind of just beating his head against the wall in that middle portion between Foxtrot and Golf.
Yeah, because that is just such a brutal place, and we're also seeing, I mean, Balance has had to use counter mortars out for quite a while. So I think either attack, they're going to push, and they're going to get blown up by artillery. Very much a World War 1 problem. Right, yeah, so it's just going to be very...
Yeah. Oh, the snipe trying to come in here for the
yeah.
beat cans. And he gets the supply vehicles, dead direct hit right on it. You think that was like some GPS guided rounds just running the supplies, which actually is a big deal for Balance Ring because he lost his fob. So every single supply truck is important for him as this game goes onward.
Yeah, especially considering he does have those Hawks, and those are pretty supply heavy. You're gonna need to make sure that they stay alive, mainly just for anti-air, because we're already seeing Krot has brought out, he's got the F-16, and he also brought out the F-15D Eagle a little bit earlier to snipe some stuff in the far north. So, yeah, if Krot ends up exploiting a little bit more of the air game, he may just win the air game just due to ammunition shortage here.
Yeah, because the Hawk, like you said, it's very supply intensive. And at the same time, there is a Raven on in Krot's deck, so you could see a couple of Hawks get popped. That Deagle then gets free reign to kind of just bring the American pain for the entirety of the game. Though we haven't really seen him utilize it to its full extent just yet. Those K1s pushed up and got smacked around a little bit right there. I'm not sure what did it, but they're going to have to back up here for Krot, which will probably put an end to this push for the most part.
Yeah,
the Macrava's going to back up a little bit too.
Yeah, I think both sides just resupplying the tanks, and really not too much more aggression here until those tanks come back online. Now, Krot's been doing a pretty good job at least keeping the K-runs alive, because, I mean, you can't afford to lose them. Best if you don't, It's nice to keep your units alive. It's apparently a good idea.
Is that how you win the war game?
I'd have to ask Razman now. I think he has a better understanding how units live and die.
I heard MBK was better than Razman these days, though.
I've heard that too, yeah.
So
I think there's been comments going about.
There have been some comments, though I did hear Razman's parents are very nice people, so you know.
Just comments.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going off the comments.
We're just reading the rumors.
Yeah, I have no independent information myself. I'm just going off what I see.
I have no independent thoughts.
You don't? It's
no,
all just created, huh? So, who is that? Is that Khan? Is Khan giving you all the thoughts?
Yeah, he's got the earpiece.
Yeah, I bet he does. Is speaking into your ear. But we do see here more infantry, Merkava 2s, Zelda, so a lot of Israelis for balance moving into Golf. Foxtrot was decapped, so they did stop the positive tick for balance. And as we reach, we're not quite the halfway mark there, but we are getting to it. Both sides still at a very slow, methodical kind of pace right now. No real sense of urgency from either of them. They seem very content to just keep, this light skirmishing action, allowing that to continue.
Yeah, and for balance, it's really in his favor as he already has not a huge point advantage, but enough to feel somewhat comfortable. And he still has a good map control. I mean, Goth is just going to be an absolute choke point, and Foxtrot is, Krot has been able to get a foothold in there, but it's just going to be decapped, and you can...
Deagle deploying.
Oh,
God. Rip Israel.
Oh, God, F-16, F-16.
But the F-15, D got sniped. The Deagle's dead.
You got one Deagled.
Wow. The Deagle goes down. The F-16 does... So Krot's F-16 does snipe, balances F-16, but he loses the Deagle, which is a ton of firepower in his deck for a couple of Roviet 90 squads. I really don't think that's going to be worth it.
Yeah, definitely relieves a lot of pressure off the logistical issue for the Hawks, as killing the Deagle was the most important thing.
Yeah.
There are still two A-10s, but against mechanized, A-10s only have limited effectiveness, because it's not like Leopard 2A-1s are entirely the most dangerous threat in the battlefield.
And there's not even a single Leopard 2A1 on the map.
You're just going to be blowing up Agaza Reach in Merkava.
Yeah, he's been using his Merkavas here really well. We see them actually engaging at the K1s. CQC here, one K1's down to 1 HP. Both of them firing at different Merkavas, which are both at 1 HP as well. Oh, one goes down. It's a CQC fire. It's A-10 trying to dive in, and a Maverick goes in, saving it. The 1K1 once killed. Interesting trade there. The other one coming over to support, and then they're both going to actually disengage. That was actually a crazy little tank engagement.
Yeah, this such, knife edge engagement, yeah. But Krot will get the advantage. A-10 really coming in clutch just to do that literal 1 point of damage, but it doesn't change really positioning of that battle, because Balance still has control over the Go Foxtrot corridor. And just as long as he has control over that, heck, he has the complete capture, because it's very hard for Krot to get the CV in Goth right now. He's going to be doing good.
Yeah, 100% Ring. It's because the situation's kind of played itself out is that I don't think either one has remotely that much of a advantage in terms of the KD in this game, but Balance had better positioning early on. He has a little bit of a point buffer with his lead, and with only mainly contesting over 1 point sectors, puts him in a good spot right here where he's perfectly fine if they continue to trade at this slow rate, because that's going to give him a win.
Yeah, because of mech on mech, just getting that tiny early advantage early on, just being greedy enough to grab that little bit of land. It's kind of like colonizing Africa and Victoria too. Just enough to get you off early on. You can just kind of coast from the end on out, because it's both very, especially mech on mech, a very similar playstyle. They're gonna throw Roviat spam at you. You can just throw in your rifleman out there. Tip for tat.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you're taking, even though they might be different individual infantry units, they're mostly the same class of infantry, and you're just throwing them at each other with roughly the same APCs. The tanks are very similar, and so it just ends up in a point where you're just grinding at the same rate, but you're not actually accomplishing too much. But if you have the lead, as Balance does, you really don't care, because that's going to secure you your victory. And so I'm curious to see what Krot's going to do here. I still think, I've said a couple times, I think Foxtrot is where he needs to go. There's not much there. Any slight probe by him would let him know there's not much there, instead of the fighting over these forests in between Foxtrot and Golf.
Yeah, it's just not been that productive, and he needs to try to play a little bit, well, I say more motorized in a sense, but just some sort of conceited push into Foxtrot would go quite well for him. We're actually seeing him actually play a little bit in the far north here. Again, the Gazelle Cannon and some Panther Grenadiers. I don't know what he's really trying to do. He can at least try to defend that one lower corridor north of the lake just to deny enemy cheese, but those Panther Grenadiers are going to take all maps to get anywhere useful.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's really not much. I really don't see much being accomplished there. So it's just, some infantry being cheeky. You see Blitz do it a lot of time. you know, put some infantry and just send them down to go on a long little hiking journey in the jungle.
Get the
You know.
cardio.
Yeah, it's getting a lot of cardio, maybe some malaria on the side. Is it worth it? We'll never know.
Yeah. Malaria's a good way to cut some weight.
Yeah, you definitely cut some weight that way.
Yes.
So a CV actually called out by Balance is going to head towards Bravo. More infantry plus with the CS down there with the nasty Vulcan for that Gucci fire support. And the longest goes on. So Krot does have the +1 now because he was able to sneak a CV into golf, and he's just going to probably keep it constantly smoked here. With a push going in, but the push is already kind of off to a weird start because the Akazarit engaging, Chumak going to try and snipe a Martyr. Yep, there it goes. And these Fusilier 90s, he needs to be careful. Krot does the K1 because that Law 80 will tear it to shreds, especially with a side shot.
Yeah, I don't think his push is really going to go anywhere. I've seen the Chaparral also going a little bit hot here. But if you also just look down south, like Balance is already bringing up a CV to neutralize Bravo, so that was an Krot's plus run. And he's already, you know, bringing up a decent force here, like he said, with CS to, you know, do a siesta into Bravo and just cause a bit of havoc.
Little siesta in the Bravo?
Mm-hmm, with a Vulcan minigun.
He's going to give the commandos a permanent siesta.
Mm-hmm.
Though, I mean, but if you're balanced, you even don't need to do that. All you got to do is hold your little force line here, sneak your CV in, and then you're good. Because, like, there's no point, though he might have enough firepower where he maybe could win the fight. Be interesting, maybe. I'm not sure. But, the Raven diving in, actually, real quick, picking off one of the Hawks, moving in, trying to engage another. Actually, the A-10 gets it. So the Gepard getting a nice line of fire here. Should take down the A-10.
Yep.
Okay, there goes. I was like, oh, I really messed up that call.
See, the A-10 was the real seed plane to cover for the Raven.
Yeah, I mean, they took out 2 Hawks right there, though he does lose 1 A-10. It's you know, probably not the greatest trade in the world, but it's not horrible.
Yeah, it does mean that he's only down to 1 A-10 for close air support, so it's cool that he managed to blow up all the, or a lot of the air defense right now.
Yeah.
But it's not like he's going to be able to really exploit it with only 1 A-10.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it really has that big of an impact on how this game will move forward. It's just, it's interesting to see, you know, some more kills for the kill count. Then we just see K1 down there, another K1 coming in, and you know, for all the grinding that went down in that forest, you know, Krot's lost that battle ring. That engagement has now swung towards Balance, and we see him starting to probe forward, and that could undermine his Foxtrot position. Because I saw some more units coming out for Balance there. It looks like they had just Foxtrot as well, and he might be preparing his own self to kind of maybe probe and see what's going on up there on that hill.
Yeah, because that Laboratory 1 being brought up here can do quite a lot of damage against all the Marderons, the Chaparrals. There's no K1s here to really contest it, so...
Yeah, they're both down below in the low ground on the other side of the hill.
If he was to get some good, you know, push up into the hill and Foxtrot, clear it out, that's pretty much 2 points down, and pretty much secures the game.
Yeah, absolutely. We do see... Well, I think the game's... Putting the CV right now in a Bravo, that's really going to change it up here for Krot, because he's either going to have to decide, do I launch an assault from Bravo into the force there? Which I think he loses, that 100%, so... which would undermine his Bravo position, or he needs to counterattack somewhere else. And there's really only 2 spots, right? It's either Foxtrot or Golf, and he's already kind of on the back foot from Golf.
Yeah, the only reasonable spot is Foxtrot. I mean, of course, Bravo, if he were to get enough infantry, would be his best first bet. But, I mean, have you really ever seen many matches where someone manages from Krot's side completely push the entirety of Golf?
No.
It's hard.
It almost never happens.
So his best bet's Foxtrot, and Foxtrot is still not great because there's a lot of small little forests between you and that CV you've got to snipe.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's he's not in a what I'd say is an enviable position right now, because while he's very close in terms of the score, it's harder for based off his current positioning to see, hey, how do I get ahead of this game right now? And you know, a big thing would be, hey, can you get a pick? Can I get, you know, leverage my position somewhere else? But a funny thing about mech is there really aren't that many fancy units to pick. There's nothing crazy here. It's just both sides throwing a lot of stuff at each other that's gonna grind each other out.
Yeah, just guns and tanks going at it, and it really kind of sucks here for Krot, because I mean the Bacan has been a pretty worthwhile investment, especially getting it early on. I mean, he's barely
Yeah.
used. Like, he's been going through his FOB supplies very efficiently. But the
Yeah.
Akazarit's are CV snipe proof. So
Yeah,
good
basically.
luck. He pretty much needs a cheeky CV snipe to get himself back into the
Oh,
scoreboard.
the K1s are sitting it right now. The
Oh.
K1s are sitting it forward. While Transport take the shot there for him, moving towards these Leopard 2A1s. He's trying to, if he could pick that off, that'd be nice for him. But there is another Leopard 2A1 coming down to support here. This feels like a very important push here for Krot. Rang. There's a lot of firepower here, a lot of infantry. He's getting very aggressive. Okay, so they're engaging the 1-2A1, so the K1s, he needs to get the snipe here. Oh, yeah, nice pullback there. Oh, the Chumat trying to come in. He's going to have to back this up here. Maybe some smoke. Maybe smoke or the beacon, you know, on the Chumat's position. But he's been forced to back up, and both 2A1s are alive. And another 2A1 actually coming in here for balance. And I think that pretty much ends any hope of taking this position anytime soon, Rang.
Yeah, that is way too much to push Graham. Like, as K1s just cannot leverage enough fire support, and the Panzer Grenadiers,
Yeah.
especially only being regular Panzer Grens, can only do so much in dealing with their German counterpart.
Yeah, the way I look at it, the K1 and the Leopard 2A1 basically cancel out. Like, Leopard 2A1 is slightly better, right? But they're roughly the same tank, you know, minus, you know, an AP here, front armor here. So there's no advantage to be had whatsoever there by Krot, especially as he has to go against 3, so he's already down in numbers, and his Panzerguns have to cross an open field. There is Chumats lying around, which is going to slow down any push he makes. And we actually see a lot of fire going down, and Bravo Rang. Krot did decide to send it there. Martyr 1 with some Panzer Grenadiers pushing forward. Oh, K1 across the other side of the canal there, trying to provide some support.
I think it's going to come down a lot to Bakan just completely shelling the area, because it is a rather target-rich environment.
Yes.
You can say you're not going to blow up the CV, but you can blow up everything surrounding it. So if he can get some good hit share and then just amass enough infantry, I mean, Bravo, just geographically speaking, is his best point to try and regain the +1.
Oh, Schumacher trying to get a snipe on some of this. Nope. Okay, he missed there. K1 pushing up there. I still think if Krot just sent it right now from Foxtrot, he could get the CV. I mean, to be real, he could Thunder Run those Martyrs and that SCRF through Foxtrot down into Charlie, and there's nothing to stop it. It's wide open. It's just, you know, the God vision we have. Sometimes it's kind of just like, you know, I want to yell at him that he just needs to go forward.
Yeah, get a time machine to go back and be like, hey, you need to push right now. Like, how did you get in my room?
How did you get here?
Yeah. This is vitally important. You need to win this tournament. Get third place.
Yeah. You have to win this third place match right here, right now. One thing we haven't seen... What were you going to say, Ray?
I was going to stream snipe from the future.
Yes, absolutely. As someone that's been stream snipe before, I would love to do that. Though, I will say, I'm surprised we haven't seen the Kernas from Balanced. And to be real, right now, there's a couple of targets that could totally be Kernast.
Yeah, like his northern push is like really juicy target here, and you really don't want to lose the north or balance side, because that really opens up the quagmire of, oh god, now I have to fight over this massive forest area, and especially against mechanized, this is going to be infantry all over the place, like pulling ticks.
Yeah, and actually, Ray, you called it down south. Good push there by Krot. There was really no extra fire support brought in by Balance to hold it. The CV is about to evacuate the dance floor, and he's going to have to re-counterattack in there. But by the time that happens, that might give Krot the lead, which, funny enough, it's felt like Balance has had the superior position most of the game, but Krot is going to take a lead here.
Yeah, and just being able to get the CV and go, and, well, who needs cover, and you can just make your own cover with permanent smoke here. So,
why not Kernas it?
He should. He really should, because this is kind of a game of CV snipes at this point, with the points being so tied up.
Yeah, I'm really curious, you know, now, just kind of looking at the map here, it feels like Krot's swung the momentum, and obviously Krot hasn't played a bad game by any means, but there goes the Thunder Run. I've been calling it forever, and it's going in right now, and Nagazurit's having to pull out as well. That's a +2, and on this map range, that is brutal.
Yeah. God damn, it's just the APC or IFE rush here is perfect. I mean, as we've been saying, there's been nothing in the center, and he's finally exploited it. I mean, you probably went back to the future and told him, right?
I did. I did.
Good for you. Oh, it's a Kernes. Too
No,
late.
It's too late. It's too late for the Kernes. And you need to kill the IFVs, but they're already moved away. I mean, I don't understand why not Kernes the CV in the smoke or the infantry. I don't know. It just felt. Oh wow, the KD was not nearly as okay.
I didn't feel like it at all.
No, it didn't. We also need to go to casting school, right?
Yeah, no,
We
we
were
need
not-
to implement a better bloody replay system where it actually shows you the KD live.
That's true. I don't have to just guess based on all the units.
Like we have to use like abstract knowledge, or I'm just like you have to set up like a notepad next to you, be like, okay, hands are gonna do it's 15 points, and need like abacuses.
That feels like that happened really fast. Like,
Yeah,
funny
it
enough
did.
with mech, but it felt like that went off the rails in about a 45-second period. And obviously it wasn't more because Krot had set up and make it happen and everything else. But it went from, hey, Balance is looking like he's in a pretty good spot with about 10 minutes left in this game, to no, Balance has lost this game.
Yeah, it's like, you know, one sucker punch and it was like out for the count because there was like weaknesses in Balance's line that entire time, which
Right,
I mean, it
absolutely.
took Krot a lot of probing and like bashing his head and go Foxtrot choke point to figure it out. But he bloody figured it out, and that Thunder
did.
Run, the Southern push, is, you know, a well concentrated, not even large force.
Well, and you also talked
Right.
about it. You brought up Rang as the Beacon down south provided some really good fire support as well. Like just having that to just drop in. You know, I don't know what's a Beacon what's the cal? I don't know. Whatever. 120. Oh, 155.
155, 120 points, and ridiculous fire rate.
Yeah, and just there were some shells there just dropping like it was hot, and it was a very interesting game the way it played out. It was very slow, much different to, you know, a couple of the past few games we've casted, which I think have been really high speed, you know, high intensity. That was just two really good players, both playing, I mean, mirror match, playing on hell in a very small place, and kind of just, you know, skirmishing the entire time. And that kind of is like, when we get used to like high level wargame, that's kind of like what it looks like.
But I'm just utterly shocked that Krot pulled that through. I thought he was done for 5 minutes ago, but
I did too.
he figured out those pressure points.
He proved us wrong. He knew we were gonna. He's like, I know Graham and Rang are going to cast this, and they're gonna think I'm losing, but I'm actually going to be winning.
It's like the 4D chess move.
He 40 chest the hell out of us right here.
So that means it's a 1-run in the series right now. So be curious to see how it gets broken in game number 3.
What that means, Rangru, is tune in next week, same time, same place, for game number 3 of this hot 3rd place action.
I'm right. And we'll see you guys next time. Take it easy.